All right, let's talk some Sam Howell. It was funny when I was watching the game. This was the first play I saw of him because, I'm kind of keeping half an eye on the game, waiting for Sam Howell to come in because I wanted to make a video on him. And immediately when I saw this play, I didn't even see the number. I'm like, oh, that's Sam Howell. You can just tell by his throwing motion. It's very, it's Sam Howell's throwing motion. That's the way to describe it. You see the route on the screen. That's where he's going to throw. Look, you see, really watch the shoulder. I think, how he gets that shoulder so far into it. It really is a bizarre motion. But, if it works for you, I suppose it works for you. I'm not going to sit here and say I would recommend it. I mean, you probably shouldn't be looking at me for throwing motion advice anyways. I can see weird throwing motion when I see it, but I'm not an expert in that. But just, something I saw. If you're expecting him to come in with entire new mechanics, that doesn't appear to be the case. He still is Sam Howell. And now let's talk about his legs for a second, because one of the more unique things about him is, despite the fact that he's not someone you would look at and be like, oh, he's going to be a big runner, he's going to run over people. That's kind of how he played in college. And so the big question was, is that going to work out at the NFL level? And there was good and bad, I thought, with it. Some in just the, he has to get rid of the ball quicker. That's something that every young quarterback has to learn because you just get more time in college. That's the reality of the situation. Where I've circled a Carolina player because he's going to be blitzing on this play. So that's the important thing to note. This is the blitz here, and already in the NFL, 2.5 seconds is really one to play when you have to get the ball out. However, despite the fact that this is a blitz and you see that Howell runs a play action, we're still 3 seconds into the play when I pause it here, and he's still looking downfield. You kind of have to make your decision at this point if you're going to throw downfield, if you're going to throw it away, or if you're going to decide to run with the football. Instead, Howell is going to eventually get sacked. The offensive line just can't protect for forever. You got to make a decision at a certain point. These are some things that he's going to have to learn. Listen, that's the case of every young quarterback, okay? It just is, but it's also the case with Sam Howell. Now, going over here, some more about what I kind of set up earlier about the running stuff. Is it going to work? Well, there were instances of like, oh, okay, that worked against NFL players. Yes, it's in the fourth quarter of a preseason game. You're not going up against Derek Brown in this situation. You're not going up against Brian Burns in this situation, but still, you're going up against NFL football players. These are much better players than you're going to play against in college, even in the fourth quarter of a preseason game. And watch how you are going to see. I mean, somehow I don't know how he gets out of this tackle, but somehow was able to break a tackle and turn what should have been a loss into a gain of a couple. It's not a massive play by any means, but he was able to get some stuff going. So again, positive play that he can make some of the stuff work at the NFL level. There was, of course, this play, which is, again, going to be kind of similar. He takes the snap, looks downfield, doesn't like what he sees, but this time has the time to start running down the field. There's a Carolina player who's looking over and trying to cover Howell, but Howell makes a move, gets by him, and gets into the end zone for a touchdown. So there you go. Listen, his mobility is a big part of his game. I don't think that he's going to be a superstar, well, probably in general, but I don't think he's going to be a superstar at all, or even like a quality NFL player if you take away his scrambling ability. He's someone who can scramble. You want to use that. There also are elements of this where, you see why the Baker Mayfield comparisons happen, not just aesthetically, they look kind of similar, but like, there are some similarities in play style. Mayfield is someone who maybe uses his legs a bit too much, despite not being a great athlete, and will also take some chances. That is definitely up Sam Howell's wheelhouse, but there's good and bad to that, and this is the good. It's going to be a cover 3 zone they're going up against, and you see the route that Howell is looking at. Now, once this play begins, you can only see so much of it, but once Howell makes the throw, you see that it's not really open at all. Like, this is not a throw that really he should be making. Also, some editing in real time, cover 4 zone, not cover 3 zone, but again, same idea of there's kind of a one-on-one matchup here on the sideline past the first down marker. I get why he's making it, though. Like, listen, it's not really open, but at the same time, it's a one-on-one matchup. It's 3rd down and 12. A punt does you some good, but you are kind of close to midfield right here, so you might as well just take a chance. I get the logic behind it. He's taking chances. Sometimes it's going to work out, sometimes it isn't. This time it was knocked away, could have been intercepted, but the reality is, if that was intercepted, would have cost you some field position, but that's not the worst risk in the world, whereas if it was converted, that would have been a big benefit to you. So there was almost more to gain than there was to lose, so because of that, I'm more willing to not have an issue with it. And there's also this next play, which this time it really is a cover 3 zone. I'm not lying to you this time, I promise. So it's going to be a one-on-one matchup deep down the field because there's only a single safety deep, and watch what happens. As you notice, Howell takes a snap, runs a play action, and again, he's going to just chuck one up for a one-on-one matchup. Is this open? No. This one, like the last one, not open, but he's going to take some chances. And if Terry McLaurin's out there, he probably gets a couple of catches there because that's, what he can do. So there's value in a guy who is willing to take some chances. And it's interesting to see that in the preseason, he's still willing to take these chances. These are the plays that he likes. And again, for all we know, the coaching staff is asking him to just throw the ball up to certain players to get them some reps. We don't know what's going on. So that's kind of what always makes preseason videos weird, is because, you never fully know what's going on if you're not in the huddle in general, but especially in preseason, just because, at least in a regular season, all they're trying to do is score points, whereas in the preseason, sometimes you're trying to just, try certain things out. But still, this is something I've seen in college as well. He'll take some chances. And this time it was actually caught, but just the receiver stepped out of bounds before he was able to, haul in the grab. So just a bizarre, play there. But, listen, that's how it can work. And it was really kind of almost a drop, really, is maybe the way you view that. I don't know. Weird non-catch. But I think, a play that worked out, and that's kind of Howell's mindset, is he's going to take chances. Some won't work out, but some will. So yeah, listen, you got to give him some credit, right? He came back from a 14-point deficit in the fourth quarter. You got to give him some love there. And that's kind of always been Sam Howell's thing, right? Is I look at this and like, okay, yeah, you missed some throws in the fourth quarter. Okay, these moves I still feel like wouldn't work against NFL talent. But the one thing he's always had going for him is he's always had results. He's always been able to have more success than you would expect given the situation around him. And there's a value in that. There's some people who believe that that's just what you should look for, is the guys who are having results. Those are the guys that are going to typically, be successful. Doesn't always work out that way. Sometimes guys have results in college, results in the preseason, and then struggle in the, in an NFL uniform in the regular season. So maybe that will be the case with Sam Howell, but he's a very fascinating prospect, certainly. I still felt like the fact that he fell in the draft was really weird to me. I thought that he should have been selected earlier. Not to say that I was crazy about him coming out of the draft. I had him as my quarterback 5, and I nearly had him as my quarterback 6. So, I get it. I get the concerns. But hey, I do think that there's some positives here. Because again, kind of how I view this stuff is not necessarily how do I view your performance, but what have I learned from you that I didn't already know? And I think most of this stuff I already know. I didn't learn much. But the one thing I probably would say I did learn in this, preseason performance from Sam Howell was that he hit these moves, him using his legs can work against NFL players. Now, can they work against Aaron Donald? Can they work against, some of the great linebackers? Can it work against Bobby Wagner? I don't know. Not sure why I'm talking about the Rams in particular, but, in general, can it work against better players? That remains to be seen. This was still a preseason game against backups, but you know what? I said it in the video. It's true. A preseason game against backups, you're still facing way more talent than a college game. So I think first test passed. We'll see what he does. But yeah, interesting performance by him. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.